visualize k-means clustering. So for example, we choose the centers, make it uniform. So for example, you have this data, two-dimensional. We can select the centroids. This is centroid 1, centroid 2, centroid 3. Yeah, for now. So we set the initial centroids. This is what's happening. So you classify the data points based on their proximity to the different centroids. So what this means is all these data points are near to the red centroid. So you say that they're red, and same goes for the others. After that step, once you have assigned a class to the different data points, you update the centroid. So what's going to be the new location of my 3 centroids? It is the mean of all the data points assigned to that cluster. So if you look at this, this is more or less going to be the next centroid, next location of the centroid. And same goes for this one. This is going to be the centroid, and it's going to be here based on what I'm seeing visually. So if we do that to see, that's what happened. And you keep on doing that. You reassign the data points based on the proximity. Previously, this was, for example, this one, this is blue, but now it's in the green area, so we should reassign them. Now you have updated the labels, you update the centroids, and you keep on doing that again and again and again and again until it converges. That is k-means. See, once there's minimal movement, yeah, you say that it has converged already. Got it? That's k-means conceptually. You guys good? Sure. No questions? Thumbs up if you understood that. Am I still connected? I'm right.
Sorry, sir. There's a question in my mind. It's welling, but I don't quite know how to question it. To ask it. Because the points we seem to have put them quite how do you say this, like we just placed the points and then they converged somewhere. What determines their convergence? Because as you said that you were able to see it, and to an extent, yeah, you just look at what points there are some like actually no, I can't even explain it. What
Okay.
Where do they converge to, sir?
Why did it converge to that? Well, in this case, it is quite simple because the data points are spread uniformly. So in most cases, that's what's going to happen. But in other data sets, okay, I'll show you. It doesn't work all the time. So yeah, I'll choose. Let's say, so a smiley face, yeah. So yeah, this won't work on this one. You need another clustering technique for this one. TV scan. Anyway, just based on the data points, right? Say for example, we only have 2. Maybe 3. Let's make it like this. Now it's hard. Where will they end up? There are so many data points now. The earlier example, it's spread uniformly, more or less. So you know that it's going to end up like that based on the initial centroid locations. But for this one, I don't know. Let's see. Then we update. Oh, now it's like this. Interesting. Then we reassign. I think it will converge right here. Yeah, it has already converged. This minimal movement, it is here. But what if we change the centroids? Instead of that, we make it, I don't know, like this. I'm not sure. Let's see. It really converges to that because we have 3 centroids. So it will always end up more or less like that. But you see, the centroid is not similar to the one earlier, but it's more or less the same. But the centroid was here and here. You see, the initial points that you choose is really important when it comes to clustering. So let's do one more, but we use like 4. I don't know how this will end up. Yeah, looks a bit weird now. See? It depends on the data set. It depends on the initial centroids that you choose. So many factors. Got that, Nathan?
Sir, just from what I am seeing visually, they're all converging to a point where the centroids seem to have
Mhm.
the similarly proportional amount of data.
More or less for this example. Let's choose another one that is, but yes, in that example. Trying to look at an example that does not look like that. I want to create my own data. Fine, I can't. But yeah, like this one, like this one. This is an example. You only have 2 centroids, but visually you know that it's supposed to be 3. So how are you going to distribute that? So it has now converged to this. See? But if you choose pick another location, this is going to be your centroids. See, it depends on how you choose your initial centroids. Got that?
Yes, a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
Because
So it's really dependent on the data set, the initial centroids, and the number of clusters.
so, sir, just to clarify, is it like k nearest neighbors in the sense that it still uses distances from the
Yeah,
points to
it is. There are many algorithms that are distance based. So and it's normal for many data sets. Actually, if you think of it that way, you're actually using the distance in pretty much all of the algorithms. It is important.
In a sense, sir, what's the difference between nearest neighbors and means?
Your goal here is to cluster. Basically, think of the first step that you do in clustering. That's KNN. That's just KNN. The first step here is to assign the labels, the data points based on the nearest centroid. Now, your goal in nearest neighbors is to identify the label of your new data point. Given, for example, you already have this and you have a new data point. It's here. You see my cursor? You already know that it is class red because based on the color, it is in that area where a red is the class, is the centroid. So that's KNN. You don't move around. You don't do those extra steps. So you could think of it that way, that KNN is just one part of the clustering, of K-means clustering. Got that?
Yes, sir. It's much clearer now. Thank you.
There's no conversions. There's no updating of centroids. None of those things. So K-means is more complicated than KNN in that sense. Okay. Good. Clear so far? There's a question about reassigning so that it converges. You have to reassign and then move the centroid until it converges. That's why you see those movements. What's this? Back circles? Don't want this.
Sir.
Oh, nothing. Just checking.
No. Can you send the website in the chat? I want to play with it.
Yeah. I
I
will
just want to
send
see.
this. Yeah, I'll send this bit. Then the clustering